Welcome everybody to Too Legit to Crit, a tabletop role-playing podcast hosted by two guys who always mishear the name of spells. Fox is Coming raised a lot of questions.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, it's true. I mishear spells a lot.
I literally laughed out loud when I thought of that earlier today.
Yeah.
I was at work and just went...
Yeah.
Well, my name is John Santana.
My name is still Justin.
Hey, Still, how have you been getting on?
I've been good, man. I've been really good. Had to do a bit of a drive for work today, which was long because it was raining and stuff. And for some reason, when it starts raining, people forget how to drive. So I was diverted through all sorts of back lane country roads to be here to hit the record button. But other than that, I've been really good. What about yourself, man?
I've been good, but I do have a very important question.
Fire away.
These country roads.
They took me home.
Thank you very much.
They did. They took me home.
That was the burning question. That was the burning question.
But it was not West Virginia.
No, probably for the best.
It's not where I live.
No.
I feel like if the country roads took me to West Virginia, then they did not take me home. And so that would be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, it kind of would be, wouldn't it?
I don't know anyone in West Virginia either, so I'd be a little bit stuck.
To be honest, other than that fucking song, I know nothing about West Virginia.
All I know is it's Virginia and it's to the west, I'm guessing. Although, saying that, with place names, you never fucking know. It could be north. Who knows?
I feel I need to Google West Virginia right now.
I'm going to do the same. I feel like we do.
Yeah, we do need to do that. West Virginia is an American state, is in the southern United States.
I rest my case. I rest my fucking case.
Yeah, but maybe it is the west part of Virginia. Maybe there's like...
It is to the west of Virginia, looking at the map of the states.
God, we're sounding so fucking dumb to Americans right now.
We are, but then again, we don't know America, right? We're not from there.
Yeah,
although even then, it's like it's west of Virginia, but it's like northwest of Virginia. So... Like some of it is north of Virginia. Like
but now you're being your usual pedantic self.
Well, yes, that's what I do.
So yeah, I don't want to, cause offense to any potential listeners in West Virginia.
Moving on.
I'm sure you have a wonderful place.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not where I live, so I would feel very lost if that's where I ended up whilst driving home from work.
Chances are it's better than the shithole that you actually do live in.
Oh, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Like there are not many places that are worse than. I mean, I used to live in a place that's worse than where I live, and that's why I moved here because it was an improvement, but it's still not great.
No, it's still not great. I walked home the other night and it was like
rookie move.
Shit, I got a taxi.
Yep.
So, this week we've been quite busy this week.
We
haven't
have. We have.
In my own sort of personal pursuits, played a bit more of the old homebrew campaign. It was a bit more of a leisurely stroll through a mountainous region after the absolute fucking slaughter of an entire town. Which,
I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
It's kind of landed. It has hit certain characters different ways, which I'm kind of really liking, and as I'm knuckling down on because it's definitely worth exploring.
Yeah, of course.
One of the characters in particular is an evil character, so he kind of enjoyed it probably more than he should have done.
No, I think I find he enjoyed it the proper amount.
And I do actually have to make a correction. He is no longer an evil character because alignment doesn't
exist. Well, no, because you don't have to have alignment to be an evil person, right?
Yeah, but I feel there's a lot more subjectivity towards it.
Yeah, I feel like with it's one of those things as well where I think even if you get rid of alignment, right, there's still going to be that element of like, yes, but he's an evil person. Like, yeah, but no, but yes. because like it's, and I know we're gonna end up talking about alignment now for another fucking half an hour, but
it's
the
fine.
issue that
We've got time to kill.
It's true. The issue I always had with like branding something as evil in air quotes, right, is it's evil from a perspective. Right?
Yeah.
Because they don't think they're being evil. They think they're doing the right thing. That's why they're doing it. It just so happens that society as a whole goes, no, that's fucked up.
Do you realize that as you were saying that your like accent went into West Country? That's why they were doing it. And it did kind of sound like the greater good.
I mean, I did watch Hot Fuzz recently, so that might be why.
It really did kind of lean into West Country there for a second. It was like, oh shit,
the
he's one of
good.
them. The greater good.
The greater good. No luck finding them swans then.
I really need to watch that movie then.
Oh, dude, it's so good. It's so dumb, and that's why I love it.
I do agree with you, however, that the concept of good and evil in a lot of cases is subjective.
Yeah, it's perspective.
And some of the best villains ever written are the ones that have a logic to what they do.
Right, Thanos in the Marvel films was like, what he was doing was like, it was wrong. Like, but his reasoning behind it was good in essence, right? He just wanted there to be enough resources for the universe to survive. And instead of, using his brain for 5 seconds going, hey, I can alter reality. Why don't I just double the resources? He went the other option of, why don't I just kill half the people? Wrong way to do it, but, is what it is. 10 points for, coming up with the concept, negative points for execution. Pardon the pun.
I'd still kind of do the Thanos thing.
I mean, yeah, but that's because we hate people. There's a difference. Yeah. We're doing it because there's less people to deal with.
So the whole thing with the town was a deliberate morally grey area.
Yeah.
Everything about it was that could either go either way, sort of thing. So that's why I used it as a springboard, just to get rid of alignment. Other than that, I've been preparing some good old Kingmaker for when that starts in a couple of weeks. And also I have another game coming up in a couple of weeks. I've got a lot going on.
Busy man.
I'm a busy man. I'm a busy role player.
I am less busy. I mean, I did get to do some awesome fun stuff, as you well know, because you were there. Which we're going to get into a little bit later on, which was we got to play some Fabula Ultima, which was awesome.
So fucking good.
It was so good, but we'll get into that a bit more later on. But it blew me away. I absolutely loved it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to playing a lot more of it. But yeah, I've been just building a lot of characters. Because I've still not really. So I'm certain I did mention it, but the 20th level one shot that a friend of mine wants to run, he still hasn't run it yet. Which means I unfortunately have more time to play around with character ideas and builds. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. And I on the drive home today, I came up with something that I thought would be really, really funny for no reason other than it would just be dumb, right? And that's to take like the way a lot of people will like role play a dumb character by speaking like an idiot or like just talking really slowly or mispronouncing words or, just talking like the way a simple character would in film or anything like that, or like the way like barbarians are often portrayed with that really slow talking voice that just is a bit, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
but making the character really fucking intelligent, and he just talks like that for fun.
No, that could be quite cool.
So, because I was playing around with the concept of building a wizard for this thing, because obviously wizards are stupid broken. Because wizards, right? Because spellcasting. So I was toying around with this, and I was like, I don't want to play that kind of wizard who just, talks really, really well, and is very clever all the time, and is just so good at everything. Like, I'm bored of that, so I wanted to try and do something different, and I thought it'd be really funny to have a wizard who just sounds like a moron, but happens to be super intelligent.
Okay, I mean, that could work.
Because that's the thing, right? Wizards are book smart.
But they're not, they're not necessarily...
Doesn't necessarily mean he's, well-spoken. He just means he reads very well. And if he spends all that time, tucked away in a library somewhere reading books, he may not have the best people skills.
I'm thinking Neil from The Young Ones. Hey guys.
Yeah, that kind of that's the vibe.
Groovy man.
Yeah, exactly that. Or maybe he just permanently talks like he's high all the time.
Maybe he's high all the time.
Yeah, that's it. Like, his brain is going so fast to try and slow it down. He just smokes an incomprehensible amount of the leafy products in that world.
Actually, I mean, I think that concept does cater to a certain subset of the population.
It does, yeah.
Grateful Dead fans and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I do actually like the concept. I think it is quite funny. That he's just so wired all the time. He just kind of needs to
take the edge off.
Just take the edge off and calm down.
Yeah.
I
was toying around with that a little bit on the drive home, and just how fun it would be to especially when you get to some sort of problem solving element, right? Because obviously nobody knows how intelligent you are until you show it, right? And if all of the interactions that the group have had with him is just him talking like an idiot, and they've never had to see his brain, do its thing in a manner of speaking, they're going to be trying to solve this problem, and then the guy who sounds like an absolute moron just goes, "Well, I think we should just do this," and it's just the most eloquent answer ever, and you're like, "Wait, what?"
I mean, it kind of reminds me slightly of Kevin out The Office.
Yes, yeah.
The American Office.
Yeah.
Obviously, where the entire series is portrayed as very.
He's just this very incompetent. Yeah.
But the moment they start talking about pies, it becomes like a mathematical genius.
Yes, it's exactly that. He just knows.
Yeah, I like it. I'd run a game with that.
Yeah. So that's kind of one of the concepts I'm working with at the minute. Now I just need to figure out the rest of the build, because I've got his personality now. I just need, everything.
Personality is half the battle.
Well, I mean, for me, that's 90% of the battle, because the math part I do really easily, right? The actual build element is I put those together in my sleep half the time. It's the coming up with these fun little, hey, that'll be cool, is the part that's hard for me.
But you know what can help with builds?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically building monsters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is the new book coming out.
Wow.
Monstrous, who has
That's good.
Reached its Kickstarter goal.
It has officially reached its goal with 67 hours to go.
It was, I think I got the email about an hour before we started recording.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I kickstarted this because I thought it was a really cool concept. They've done a couple of videos where they've created a dragon in Tales of the Valiant.
That's cool.
Which is a really interesting watch, especially if, like me, you're invested in both products.
Yeah.
It's fuck it, let's do this. But it just looks so cool.
Mm.
And yeah, so I'm happy that got kickstarted.
Yeah.
That means I've got another little toy.
Another little tool in your utility belt.
Not that I've spent any more money this past week.
Of course not. No, not at all. Definitely not. That's not something we do here. We don't spend money.
Anybody following on the Facebook of Master will see that I caved and bought the One Ring. No, wonderful little shop in London, though.
Yeah.
Called Orc's Nest.
Okay. I like that name.
It's tabletop role-playing game and board games.
Okay, I might have to pop down there and check it out.
Really small place, really tiny, but it's on 2 floors. And yeah, really, really cool. And I bought the book and they said, oh, just send us an email with the details and we'll send you a free PDF.
That's awesome, dude.
Like,
that's really cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. Oh, that's pretty cool. I might have to pop down and check them out.
Yeah, because you need to pick up...
lots of things.
Lord of the Rings.
I need to pick up lots of things.
Well, the deal is, I know.
Yeah. And I get the Lord of the Rings. I am aware.
Shitty system.
Well, we're not going to discuss that. But speaking of money changing hands, though. Yeah, see, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
There may be some money changing hands very soon because Evil Genius Games have sued Netflix.
Yep, I did see this.
For breach of contract, breach of the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, quantum, Jesus, and then a bunch of Latin. I'm not going to read the Latin. A bunch of Latin stuff, and declaratory relief is the final bit. Basically, because they were building a TTRPG system around Rebel Moon.
So, from what I can gather, and I kind of heard about Rebel Moon before learning about the tabletop role-playing game. If I'm not mistaken, Rebel Moon initially was going to be, or the idea was for it to be a Star Wars sort of entry, but that didn't materialize. So Zack Snyder went, right, I'll do my own thing then.
Yeah.
And obviously he got in touch with Netflix, who initially were going to do a movie, and that's where the tabletop role-playing game came in. Then the movie kind of got scrapped and it got turned into a series.
Yeah.
And in this restructure, Evil Hat, I think it is, got basically punted out of their contract quite unceremoniously.
Yeah, after having done a crap ton of work. So by May, which is when it looks like they were told, don't bother, they had produced a 228-page world Bible, which vastly expanded on the universe envisioned by Mr. Snyder himself, a 430-page player's guide, and a 337-page GM's guide.
That's a big investment.
That's a shit ton of work, dude.
That's a huge investment. And it's I mean, don't get me wrong, Evil Hat isn't a small fish, but it's no Wizards of the Coast.
No, but what that does mean, though, is they're not a small fish, which means they might have the money to actually continue to pursue this, right? Because let's be honest, that's the way companies like Netflix work. When this kind of lawsuit happens, normally the person on the other end of it just can't afford to continue the legal battle because they run out of money, and Netflix has a lot of money and a lot of lawyers, right? But this is one of those cases where, I mean, Evil Genius Games won't have the same money as Netflix because, let's be honest, not many people do. But they do have a lot, so they should be able to take this at least most of the way. And
there's also something that Netflix probably hasn't taken into consideration.
All of us.
Yeah. Basically, it's the same thing that Wizards fucked up with.
Yeah.
They underestimate the community.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, they have.
If the sort of Vox Popular decides that Netflix is indeed the bad guy in this,
which I don't see any other way to see it.
There will be a lot of support
Oh, absolutely.
From
Yeah.
other companies, from users, and it'll be another boycott.
Yeah.
But Netflix is actually responding, isn't it? I did see something about Netflix responding to say that the reason the contract became null and void was because of some breaches in confidentiality perpetrated by evil genius.
Right.
I'm just trying to find it because this isn't the original thing that I saw. Because this came about because I first saw it because I not refollowed. I found Linda Cordega again.
I've found, so Evil Geniuses have actually put up a page documenting everything on their website. So apparently Netflix terminated the agreement on May 25th, claiming that they violated confidentiality provisions in their contract by sharing artwork at an industry trade show called Gamma Expo. This termination came as a surprise for several reasons. All artwork was sent to Netflix prior to the event for review and approval. Everything we shared was approved and documented by Netflix months earlier, and the presentation in question was a joint presentation by Evil Genius Games and Netflix staff. So it sounds like they've basically just tried to find any reason to terminate, even though they approved all the artwork. So I don't see how that could be then seen as a breach if Netflix went, yeah, that's fine. That sounds like an oversight on Netflix's side.
Quite possibly. Apparently there were two instances. The first instance, which you've just mentioned. The second time was when Evil Genius Games uploaded two non-final teaser cover images onto the back end of its site for the purposes of retailer pre-order, and through administrative error, accidentally made the portal accessible to the public. Again, I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, me neither.
I honestly, fuck Netflix.
Yeah.
I hope Evil Genius gets what they deserve.
Absolutely.
And to be a real dick about it, I would just rename it Mebel Rune or something. Just file off the serial number and kind of go, there you go. Or, even better, with this added publicity, that might give them enough clout to actually approach LucasArts.
Yeah. Or
and say,
Disney.
That thing that was meant to be a Star Wars, but then it fell through? How about we fuck Netflix over a tiny bit?
Well, yeah, because then it would be Disney related. And it would end up on Disney Plus.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about the role-playing game.
Yeah, but if they actually made it a film or a show about it as well, it would end up on Disney Plus, which would then double stick it to Netflix. Because then that
would be fun.
That would be hilarious.
Okay, so Evil Genius, Evil Hat. I don't know how to refer to you. You've got ideas.
Yep, because they definitely listen to two idiots chatting shit.
I actually know somebody who works for them.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then yeah, get in touch.
I'm going to send a Facebook message.
I am going to stick that on our watch list because I would like to keep an eye on that as it progresses.
Yeah, 100%. It's just, again, it's these big companies kind of trying to get away with shit.
Yeah, it is. And, it's... I'm just getting sick of it now. It just seems like every fucking week we've got some other company trying to do something they shouldn't be doing, and it's just, guys, stop.
Someone actually posted a poll on Mastodon about this very subject. Let me see if I can quickly find it.
Oh, that's funny.
Where was it now? Okay, so let me have a look. So it was basically, what creator-facing company is going to do it next? Tank their stock value in a gross misunderstanding of the power they hold. Mm-hmm. The options were Twitch, Affinity, or Wizards of the Coast again somehow.
So I don't think it'll be Twitch, because Twitch is not the kind of company that would do something to like monumentally fuck themselves over. They prefer the slow bleed, which is what they've been doing for a long time now. So I don't see them doing that.
I don't know. Twitch did win the poll, by the way.
Yeah, but you see, that's because like people, I think they don't understand Twitch. Because honestly, I personally think the main reason Twitch is struggling and failing is because Amazon want to get rid of it.
Well, I mean, a lot of the comments on here, it's like, yeah, Twitch hasn't done anything for a while. Surely it's about fucking time.
Well, no, that's why. Because I reckon they haven't done anything for a while because Amazon just doesn't want it anymore.
Oh,
they want to kill it.
I just find it funny.
But yeah.
So, but who'd have thunk? Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah. Good old Netflix.
Good old Netflix.
To be fair, this is just another. They're doing even worse than Wizards at the moment, because this is like number 7 on their list of fuck ups recently. Because like they've had their password sharing crackdown, which is hilarious to me, because when they first released the product of Netflix, they're like, hey, you could share your password with people. Now they're like, don't you dare share your password with people. It's like, that was literally your advertising campaign at one point. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I wouldn't call that a fuck up. I'd just call that just a business choice, which people aren't going to quite agree with.
Yeah, fuck up.
So, I don't really call it a fuck up. But, I mean, I think these things do kind of make me angry.
Yeah.
You know, almost wrathful.
Fuck you, hell.
Come on, I set it up, dude. Set it up for you.
Oh, no, I'm not. I refuse.
Come on.
I refuse.
Take it.
I refuse. This is not a righteous use of a... Oh, I feel dirty for doing that.
Oh, God, but doesn't it feel so right?
Oh, Wrath of the Righteous DLC. There's new DLC.
So, yeah, this is only tangential to our brand, but Wrath of the Righteous, the hugely popular Pathfinder video game, has released some DLC titled The Lord
will
of
be
Nothing.
releasing some DLCs.
Will be releasing
Not
some
out yet.
DLC.
November 21st.
Fair enough. I've never played Wrath of the Righteous. I have played Kingmaker. Good bit of fun, but I don't really have time to invest in video games anymore. So, yeah, it's probably going to sail straight by me.
Yeah,
to be fair.
By the looks of it, it's going to be continuing the storyline of the game. So your character will continue from the end of the last DLC, or you can create a new character to play the new DLC, but it'll work either way. They're adding like new spells, new like feats and stuff like that. So it's a bit like, you know, any AP that would come out for an actual TTRPG game. It's just an expansion to the world that exists.
That's fair. And again, it's been a hugely popular one. So I may pick it up one day. I've always been interested in the Wrath of the Righteous adventure path.
Yep.
But I do not want to run it. Because for the tabletop, it used Pathfinder's Mythic rules. You had a bad experience with Mythic, didn't you? Everybody had a bad experience with Mythic. It was it broke the system. I didn't. You never did. I left by that point. So you'd have loved it because, you know, Mythic broke Pathfinder. I mean, I'd already broken Pathfinder by that point. No, but this is like beyond anything. Super broken. Yeah, just the shit you could do on Mythic was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, didn't Chris have like 5,000 shots with his bow at one point? Or like near enough. Something fucking stupid. Like he would just sit and roll dice like the entire combat and still not have finished his attacks for the next round by the time I got back around to him. With Mythic, my deception, or bluff as it was in Pathfinder First Edition, I think without rolling a dice was 40. And using a couple of things, I could get it up into the 60s to 70s. That's insane. Yeah, when I say it broke the system, I'm not joking. Yeah, okay. That's dumb. But apparently it's something that they kind of did fix in the video game. So I think they just obviously made the game a lot more balanced.
Yeah, I think as well. Like if you're building a game around that, it's easier to balance than if you just kind of get there. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Especially like video game world as well, because everything's kind of hard locked. So you can it's a lot easier to limit the interactions of things that are like rules as written. This is really broken in like an actual like TTRPG, right? Because there are a lot of interactions like in 5e, for example, where rules as written, it creates dumb shit. But realistically, any GM's going to look at that and go, no.
But also the advantage of a video game is you can just you can just dispose of the elements that are broken.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
You know, this is something that's going to ruin my game.
Nope.
And that's it, you know.
Yeah, no, exactly that. I mean, it's, yeah. It's a lot easier.
If you're into video games and if you're into Pathfinder, definitely pick it up because I'm sure it's going to be a great fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick thing on Paizo.
Yep.
Starfinder Enhanced is coming out soon.
Yes.
Which I would argue, bit of a moot point at this time.
Yeah, because they've got 2E coming out soon, haven't they?
They've got a second edition coming out in about a year and a bit.
Yeah.
So, okay, fair enough. They've probably already had the book in mind.
Yeah.
Before they decided to step away from the OGL, which is what has been the reason behind the push for 2E.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna like coincide with Pathfinder 2E, which is a great system and all that. But they wouldn't have done it so early had they not have wanted to get away from the OGL.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at like the release about it, right? It's a 192 page book. So yeah, it's absolutely plausible that they were working on this before all the OGL stuff happened, right?
Yeah, I mean the announcement came. I mean, I don't know about before the OGL stuff, but
or
definitely
around
before
that sort of time. Yeah.
Starfinder Second Edition was announced. They had already announced Enhanced. It was going to be Starfinder's version of Pathfinder Unchained, which brought updates to a bunch of classes, made them really cool, unbroke other classes. So I'm gonna, yeah, dude, because the not unchained summoner was so fucking broken.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You never witnessed my summoner, did you?
I built one. I know how dumb they were.
They were fantastic. And when my Eidolon wasn't working, it's like, right, dismiss you and fucking Zerg Rush.
I think that like when I built a summoner for Pathfinder was the point I was like, no, I can't. There's too much unbalance in this game. I can't play it.
The summoner is a one man army.
It's ridiculous.
However, in second edition, it has been fixed. It's a really cool class.
That's cool. Well, what I'm liking about the species in Starfinder Enhanced, which I'm hoping they carry these over to 2E, and then I'd be very tempted to play 2E. One of them is basically the Starfinder equivalent to Ewoks.
I know, I did.
And I'm all for that because let's be honest, the Ewoks were the greatest characters in any of the Star Wars films ever, and I will fight anyone who disagrees.
I'm more excited about the fact that you can play as a hologram.
Yeah.
Just once again fueling the Red Dwarf thing.
Or a tiny sentient star was one of the other options.
I just want to play as Arnold Rimmer. I just want to play as Arnold Rimmer, who failed his entry to the Space Corps 9 times.
I'm not gonna lie. Some of the other races that they've released in this book, one of them is also like a cat race.
There you go.
So this is basically Red Dwarf for Starfinder.
We can do a Red Dwarf campaign.
We absolutely can. Yeah, because you've got the AI core.
Androids already exist.
Yeah, they already exist.
Humans,
obviously, yeah. And then obviously the
cat race.
Yeah, the cat race.
And now the hologram.
Yep.
So what was that game we were mentioning last week? It was like, oh, we can play Red Dwarf. Fuck it, we can do it in Starfinder.
We can do it in Starfinder, yeah.
Just need the right people around the table and it would be a blast.
Yeah.
That sounds one-shot vibe to me.
It absolutely does, yeah.
All right.
The little Red Dwarf inspired one-shot. I'd be up for that.
All right, okay, so I will
just start calling everyone Smeghead.
Of course, I mean, come on.
That'd be the title of the episode.
All right, so
who the Smeg are you?
That's gonna be a thing.
Oh, brilliant! I love it.
Yep.
But speaking of actually playing a game that was on our list, we did it. We played a game that was on the list.
We did, and it was
awesome,
fabulous.
It was ultimazing.
Mine was better. 100%.
Mine was fucking terrible.
Mine was much better.
But we played Fabula Ultima, and it was
we did
amazing. The story that Couch ran us through was incredible. The characters were really fun. I loved your character. He was my favorite.
Ever since we mentioned it on the show,
yeah,
with Couch, he was, he was taken by it. He bought the book shortly after,
yep.
And for the past few weeks, it's been like, okay, we need to run this. Yep. So we finally set a date, and there were 4 of us. There was Justin, myself, 2 friends, and Couch.
Yep.
And we were all playing Press Start.
Yes.
Which is like an intro adventure. So, I will say this. If you haven't played it and you want to, you may want to tune out for the next 20 minutes,
sometime,
half an hour.
Yeah.
Because...
spoiler alert.
We will probably mention story elements.
Yeah.
But we will try not to spoil it as much as possible.
We will try to be as vague as possible.
Yes, that's probably the best way of putting it. And it was fantastic. We all had pre-gens.
So yep.
My pre-gen... And this is just what's given to me, not what I did with it. My pre-gen had the sort of trait of hope. He was a young kid who is a gunslinger and tinkerer with a Magitech arm called Edgar. Then there was your characters. I forgot your character's name.
I was playing Blair.
Blair was cleric-y, bardy.
Very bardy. Yeah, it was more bard than cleric, I would say, if I had to put a class on Blair. But Blair was the heir to the throne of Dunova, or Dunova. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm going with Dunova because it sounds funny. Because that place got done over. I'll see myself out.
So yeah, I'm going to be doing this podcast alone from now on.
Now, unfortunately, I did miss a big chunk of the session because my small one was not playing ball with the whole going to bed thing, which was loads of fun, as you well know because you were here.
Well, I will kind of go over that and just kind of fill you in on the bits that you missed while we kind of discuss it, because I think we should kind of start
at the beginning.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
I think we should start there.
Yeah.
There was also Cassandra, who was fighter-y, kind of.
Oh yeah, I would say so. Fightery, maybe paladin-y without spellcasting.
True, and then there was Levine, who was more barbarian, like low armor class, tons of hit points.
I would say more ranger personally, or rogue.
Really?
Yeah, because they were very the attack style was quite quick. Rather, to me, it felt that way anyway, because it was like pole army rather than just bashing E. So I'd say maybe more ranger from that point of view. But again, I think we're trying to put Pathfinder and new flavor on these things when they're not. But it's just an awesome character because Cassandra was very, like I say, very pole army. So there was a lot of stabbing at reach, and like abilities that let her close the gap on enemies and hit them, which was really cool. At least that's what I thought, but
no, it was a really cool system, and I have to say, I mean, I've always highly rated Couch as a GM.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I don't think I've ever seen a system fit a GM.
Oh God, yeah.
As well as Fabula Ultima fits with Couch.
Absolutely.
He just took everything in his stride, and even my antics, of which there were many.
Have you got an accident report?
So I made the creative or the narrative choice of giving my character a certain quality, which not a lot of people appreciate.
I love
it. And it all started at the beginning, because we are meant to describe this airship that we're on.
Yeah.
So I started with the description. I went, I think it's going to be somewhat mechanical steampunk. And we all kind of had our input, and we ended up creating a mechanical steampunk sort of airship, which was held aloft by, I think it was like a blimp sort of.
No, it was like a hovercrafty thing, and then there was like a sail as well.
So it was just an amalgamation of
everyone's
everything
input.
We wanted. And just for flavour, I kind of said, I think Edgar's kind of looking around the engines and just looking at like some of the things that are leaking.
He didn't think it was up to code.
Apart. And I don't think this is up to code. And that kind of prompted me to everything having to be up to code and having to have forms filled out. So when we inevitably had an accident,
as we're inevitably,
as we're going down, I'm going to the pilot guy and going, "Where's your accident reports? Where are they?"
Oh yeah, our good old airship captain Leon. It's a good guy, who we described as like Popeye, but older and like has had enough of everyone's shit, like a retired Popeye.
And massively racist.
Yes, yeah.
Because of the accent that Couch gave him. Yeah. It was like, holy shit, dude.
Oh, that was funny, man. Oh, it was one of the, and I like you said, man, like it's a system that I think it suits Couch so well, because it encourages like that, and it's something that it prompted a few of his questions as well, actually, in the past, now that I'm thinking about it. Was the like collaborative world building, right? Because the way that system is designed is to get input from the players at the table to build what they're standing on, right? Like that whole airship building thing, that's part of the system. That wasn't just a thing that Couch decided to do. Like he's told me, like in other discussions we've had about it, that is part of the system. That's baked into how that system works. But it also just happens to be, as you know, how Couch runs a game. He takes all of that input and he turns that into the scene. And Fabula Ultima, that's a mechanic. That's part of the game.
Yeah, and it does really fit. And when you were dealing with your daughter and whatnot, we did some of like the background sort of stuff. So Couch essentially asked us questions about our characters. So what we knew about Edgar, for example, he had a Magitech arm, and he was from Pemble.
Yes.
And one of the questions was, there was something bad happened to you. What was it, and why did you leave Pemble? So what I did is I got the whole accident report thing, and my whole thing was, he was in Pemble and there was either a factory or some sort of big industrial sort of element to it, which Edgar, from very early on, realised was not up to code. And he kept on trying to get them up to code until there was a catastrophe where he lost his arm.
Right.
And
that makes it so
after
much
that,
better.
he was so adamant in telling people that you should have had this up to code, you should have done this, this is how things should be done, that they actually invited him to leave the town. They sent him on a quest to get rid of him. And that's why he was where he was. But that is why I leaned heavily into the have you got a permit to be here?
Has that bow? Do you have a permit for that? And I mean, like, obviously, me being the bundle of I'm gonna fuck around as much as I can. Once I realized that was a thing for Edgar, anytime the big bad at the end of it was like did anything, I was like, Edgar, I don't think she's got a permit for that, you know. Just to watch like the anger wash over him. I was like, how dare they not have a permit?
Yeah, and I didn't even describe it either. I just glared at Couch.
Yeah, it was so good, man.
It was brilliant. And then towards the end, when I kept interrupting the bad guy,
yeah.
I could see Chris just kind of cringing. Okay, what was it? Estepona? No, that's not my name. Okay, Forever Alona.
I felt like there was a little bit of Nahash creeping back in there, though.
I can't resist it.
Know.
Every character I play has some element of Nahash. Just being absolute knob.
But it was so good, though, man. And like it was one of those like the ending to it all. And again, I'm not gonna say what the ending was, but it was just such a satisfying. Even though like it was one of those endings that didn't end, right? But it was still a satisfying end, if that makes sense.
So, where do you go with it? Because obviously we've got the option of carrying on with the characters that we have.
Yeah, because obviously,
or creating new.
Yeah, because so the actual press start ended where it ended, but Couch, being the amazing GM that he is, used the end of the press start like adventure to lead into his homebrew adventure, which was fucking amazing, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, as you say, he's given us the option of creating our own character or carrying on with, for me, it would be Blair. Personally, I didn't like, I like Blair as a character, but I don't think she's me, if that makes sense.
Fair enough.
So I would like to build my own character. I haven't decided what yet. I haven't had a proper look, but I will be building myself something. I know you, as much as you like Edgar, you said that you would be doing the same.
I have since changed my mind.
Oh, interesting.
I did have an idea, and I actually messaged Couch during the game. Edgar found a lot of Magitech.
Mm-hmm.
So my initial idea was to use that Magitech to create an android.
Oh, and you were going to play the android?
And that android would be my new character.
Ah, I like it.
But I have since had a better idea.
Okay.
And I will be carrying on with Edgar.
Okay.
Because I think it's a lot I can lean into.
Yes.
And I think I've already established him as that guy.
Yeah, he's definitely that guy. He's absolutely that guy.
So I'm going to lean into that heavily, obviously. So I'm going to carry on with Edgar, and I do have a project. I've already communicated that to Couch. He's going to look into seeing how we can accomplish it.
Okay.
So that's going to be interesting. But the system itself,
it's so good, man. It's so rare for me in particular to try something new like that and not have to. I mean, you've seen what I'm like, right? When I look at a new system, the first thing I do is I go in through like the entire rule book. Like, how does the math work? How do the mechanics work? How does that work? I never once had to even think about it with Fabula Ultima. It just made sense.
Very streamlined, very straightforward.
It's brilliant. It's so good.
your competency in abilities are based off of dice size.
Yeah.
So the better you are at something, the larger the dice size. And you always have to roll 2 dice.
Yeah. So even if it's a straight like insight check, it's 2 insight dice. So if you've got a D10 insight, you roll 2 D10s.
However, if it's something that, and it kind of reminded me to a certain degree of Bind.
Yes, it did actually a little bit.
Where everything is a combination.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, Edgar's attack, I think it was dexterity and insight. So I roll my D10. Was it D10 for dexterity?
Yeah.
And my D8 for insight.
Yeah.
And that you have to beat your target number, obviously.
Yeah.
If you get both numbers over 6 and both matching numbers over 6, it is a crit.
And obviously matching ones is a crit
fumble.
fail. Although I didn't have a single fumble.
You did not. You actually rolled pretty well.
I did. It was amazing. The worst roll of the night was one of my daughter's rolls, which is unusual. She normally rolls really well. But yeah, it was weird for me. I was very confused.
And also what I did like was how they have actually emulated things like Final Fantasy in the combat.
Yes. Yeah.
The way initiative works.
I really liked it. I did lose track a few times, but I think that was more just me. Because everybody else seemed to be keeping track. It was I was losing track. And I think that's partially because where I had that step out, I was trying to catch up with my character sheet and stuff as well. So I think I just wasn't fully focused, if that makes sense, on things.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I was missing bits. But the way the combat works is really cool. So you group roll for initiative. And then it just alternates between players, DM, until you reach the end of however many bad guys or the end of players. And then you just take turns. But it's also, I like that it's not like, oh, I've got a really high dexterity, so I go first every time. You can change the order of when you guys when players take their turns, and it lets you strategize. And I really like that.
Which is exactly how it works in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The player has his turn.
Yeah.
But in Fabula Ultima, the player is the group of players.
Yes.
So the party has
their turn.
its turn.
Yeah.
The monsters have their turn.
Yeah.
And it is 1 for 1.
Yeah.
Okay, someone from the party, who's going? Oh, well, I want to do this. Why don't you go first, sort of thing. And you kind of create that sort of strategy between yourselves. It's like, okay, so I'm guarding, so I'm going to stay guarding, so the benefits
last for a longer period of time. Yeah.
And it is a really sort of strategic sort of focus.
Yeah. And I think that's, for me, I think that's part of why I loved it so much, is because I didn't have to go looking for places to be strategic, which is part of the reason that I build these like stupid characters in 5e and Pathfinder and stuff, right? Is I'm looking for places to apply a little bit of strategy to a thing to make it work better and stuff like that. But in Fabula Ultima, it's just baked into how combat works. It is a strategy element of the game. You have to decide what the best order of doing things is going to be. And sometimes that doesn't work out. Like when I decided to go ahead of Chris to guard him so that he could attack freely, only to find out that that wouldn't help. And then I got knocked the fuck out. But had it worked, it would have been a really cool strategy that would have, been really good for us. But it turns out that it was not a good idea.
No, it was an amazing system.
It was.
And can't wait for Couch to run some more.
Absolutely.
And I think we're all kind of in the same frame of mind. Yeah. You told me about the other player who's bought the book.
Yeah, he messaged me the next day, like, guess what I bought?
Yeah, I bought the PDF as well.
Yeah.
I know someone else. We've all kind of played it and gone,
yes.
holy fuck, that was good.
Exactly that. I think I'm the only one that was at the table that has not bought a copy, and that's because I only just got paid.
It's actually quite reasonable. I think the PDF's 14 quid from Modifius.
That's not bad. I would buy the hard copy though.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to it.
Yeah. No, I would appreciate it. But yeah, it's an amazing system. Couch ran an amazing game, and I can't wait to see what is next in store for us.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be more of a frequent thing. So
yeah.
Hopefully we can start sending couch messages, just kind of going, yeah, no, when
I'm available, man. You know, just you guys can all come around. It's fine.
Thursday, not doing anything Thursday.
I mean, I don't do anything on Thursdays, so we could make it a standing thing, but we can discuss that another time.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I only go see the kids and then come home and go to the gym.
Yeah,
that's about it.
But speaking of couch, see what I did there? See that?
That was on the nose,
right?
though. Come on.
I'm
not giving you that.
All right. Speaking of a regular thing, do you know where I regularly sit?
On a couch?
No, because my daughter doesn't let me. I sit couch adjacent. I wish I was kidding. I'm not allowed to sit on my own sofa. She tells me off, and it's not worth the fight. So
have you done anything to get your couch? What's the word I'm looking for?
No, she just
privileges.
She just likes the whole sofa.
Fair,
because she like spreads her like stuffed toys out, and she takes over the sofa and stuff.
Well, you gotta find a place for Monkey.
Yeah, that monkey's huge.
I know. I met him.
Yeah, I know.
She introduced us.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
She told me his name. His name is Monkey.
Yes.
I think it's a grand name.
She's very good with her names. She has a meerkat called Mercat, a unicorn called Corny, and she has a very good friend who has a dad named Couch, who we have we have a whole segment named after.
You're just trying to fucking hammer in.
I am.
Fucking segue.
And we're there, so let's go to the couch.
I want to digress more.
I'm excited. I have a question.
All right. Okay. So I've got 2 questions.
Well, fuck you.
Wait. No. I've got 3 questions.
Fuck you twice. Well, I've got 1, and I'm happy with my 1 question.
All right. So do you want me to read? How about I read 1 of mine?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'll tell you what. I'll read 2 of mine because they're from the same person.
Are they from Couch by any chance?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Then you can read yours, and then I'll read my last one.
All right, let's do that.
All right. Okay. So, the first one, I'm just trying to see which is going to be more applicable. I think this one. Okay, so this is from Couch, who is doing the Kessel run in under 11 parsecs. And the question is, when you have a party that seems to bundle into encounters that need prep work, what do you do as a GM? Do you try lead your party into doing more checks and research, or do you let them fumble through to try and figure out how to beat the encounter?
That's a good one. I tend to maybe try and tell them that, hey, you guys should probably, do a bit of research. But if they don't, and they just want to go in head first anyway, then they're going to have a tough time. I'm not going to force them to go and spend, a week in the library reading about a beholder, right? If they just want to go and fight the beholder, then so be it. They're probably going to have a bad time. It's not going to go well for them. Because I'm not going to pull punches because they didn't do the research, right? But yeah, I wouldn't push them to do it, but I would strongly recommend that they do.
I'm just trying to think. I think to a large degree, I do agree with you.
Mm.
I think that because stuff like knowledge checks are a thing,
yeah,
then if those knowledge checks aren't done, unless something happens which would make something immediately obvious, then I'm not gonna give them information.
Yeah.
The case it like, for example, a weakness to fire.
Mm.
All right, they don't do a knowledge checks, and they are just attacking it, and then all of a sudden someone goes ahead and does a fire spell.
Yeah.
That's when I'll kind of go, you get the impression that it's been hurt a bit more by
Yeah,
that.
so something like House was doing with the because my spell dealt light damage, right? So to the things that were vulnerable to light damage, he would talk about how they would react a lot more to the spell's effect and stuff like that. And to something that was resistant to light damage, he would talk about how they would just they seem to kind of shrug it off. And I always think that's a really good way of, because obviously in real life you would get that kind of feedback, right? And I think it's something that a lot of people sometimes maybe miss when, as a way to give players that information. So I think that is a good way to do it as well, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you learn as the fight progresses.
Yeah.
There are obviously the occasions where it is a fight in which a crucial bit of information is needed in order to win the fight.
Yeah.
Not in order to make it easier,
Yeah.
in which case they don't do their homework, fuck them.
Well, I mean, the reason I used a beholder as an example is we were in a campaign that I was playing in, we were actively preparing to go and fight a beholder because we needed a beholder eye for a particular, like for the quest that we were on. Basically, we were trying to restore this dagger, and one of the components we needed was a beholder's eye. So we knew we were going to go and fight a beholder, and we were spending time at essentially it's a city that is a library. The whole city is a library. So I spent the entire time we were in this library city researching beholders to try and come up with a tactic to defeat it, right? Because beholders are nothing, they're not something to sneeze at. They're pretty tough thing to fight, especially if you've never fought one before, which none of our characters had, right? And they're kind of the stuff of legend, beholders. So I spent a good portion of time researching a strategy to fight one. Now, I had a strategy in mind as a player, but obviously my character doesn't. So I also kind of took that as a way to take what was in my head and put it in character knowledge, because, the guy's just spent a week trying to come up with this tactic. It's reasonable that he would come up with the tactic I came up with, which when I told the DM what it was, he was like, I hate you. I was like, well, make a better encounter. Because basically he was going to have us fight this beholder in a big open space, which means that I can just cast hold person and stay out of range of it, and it can't hit me, and everyone can just wail on it because it can't move. But it's because I spent time in the library researching and planning for this encounter that I was able to actually say, yeah, I could probably do that. And if I didn't do that, it would have been a very, very hard fight for us.
But that's the thing. If you don't do that, tough shit.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a hard fight. You didn't do your homework. You made things, or you didn't make things, but you could have made things easier.
Yeah.
But you didn't, because you didn't do the appropriate prep.
Exactly.
However, when it is something that is dependent on this knowledge, for example, the whole battle I did in the town with Yog-Sothoth, they were never going to kill Yog-Sothoth. It was a portion of Yog-Sothoth that had managed to get through the portal.
Yeah.
So even had they have destroyed that, another portion would have come through.
Yeah.
The thing was having to close the portal.
Yes.
So I had a mechanic in place to give them that information of going, you have to close this portal. This is what you have to do. And then the fight didn't become about winning or losing. The fight became about surviving while one of the characters closed the portal.
Yeah.
So in that respect, if the players don't think to do the research, if it is something that is dependent on that research, then I will find a way to
deliver that info.
to deliver that information. If it's just a case of, oh, well, had we known it was weak to cold, this fight would have been easier, then, for next time. That's been your learning experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, on that same sort of thing, one of the combats in one of the starter campaigns in 5e, the first, like, big bad that you fight, in air quotes, he's got a regeneration ability that if you don't deal fire damage, he regenerates a lot of health. And at the level that you're fighting him, it's a lot to overcome. And if the players haven't done their, going around town and, asking questions about this guy, because they know they're going to fight him, right? They get put on a quest to go and fight this guy. So if they don't do the legwork, as it were, it becomes a much, much harder encounter. So do your legwork, folks.
Yeah, but also, if in that case, running away is always an option.
It is always an option.
And then regrouping and coming back.
And trying again.
All right, so thanks for that, Couch. We've got another one from you. So Couch is having fun in the sun. Everyone warns against splitting a party. How do you deal with a party splitter? Do you balance encounters to deal with a lack of members?
Nope.
Or do you keep the full force of what you had planned? Would you give the second party something else to do while the main story is continuing on? I've got thoughts on this, but I'm going to turn it over to you.
So do I nerf encounters because half the party's not there? No. If it's because they've split the party, no. If it's because players aren't there, then yes, right? Because that's something that's not controlled. But if they've just decided, no, 3 of us are staying in the tavern, absolutely not. Because they've made a poor choice. And as we've said numerous times on this podcast, actions have consequences and the world needs to reflect that. And if they know that they're trying to infiltrate like some gang's hideout, right? And they're only sending the rogue on his own some lonesome, he's probably going to get caught and he's probably going to get knocked the fuck out. So no, I absolutely do not nerf encounters in that situation. As for the other thing,
sorry,
so I was going to say, as for the other bit about like giving the other part of the group something to do, if they're splitting the party for whatever reason, I'll find out why they want to split the party, and then if it's like, oh, we want to go do research, then I basically just role play out them doing research or whatever while somebody else is investigating or whatever the situation is. But the situation is always going to be different, right? So it depends what they split off to do. But yeah, it depends really on that.
Well, I'm going to start by saying I absolutely fucking hate the whole don't split the party mantra.
Yep.
I think it's fucking ridiculous.
There's a time and a place for it.
And here's why. People take it too literally.
Yeah.
You got to think, you've got to role play when you're role playing. So you've got to put yourself in a position. You've got to put yourself in the position of your character who is in a dungeon. Let's start there. We are in a dungeon and there are 2 forks. So some of us go left, some of us go right. No, you fucking wouldn't, because it's common sense.
Yeah.
Guys, let's stick together. It's safer in numbers.
Yeah.
All right. If they decide to split the party then, and I've got 2 encounters in each room, those encounters are static. They are not changing. All right. However, in a city, doing investigation.
Yeah, I chose a poor example
one of them,
there.
when somebody goes, oh, can we go and speak to the mayor? And another person goes, okay, I want to go speak to this barmaid who was a witness. And another player goes, there was that little street urchin that I just kind of felt might know something. Or then all of a sudden you got the fourth person that goes, no, don't split the party. So then what you've got is a series of scenes where 4 fucking people
are going to talk to one
go
person.
Go and accost a mayor, a barmaid, and a street urchin.
Yeah.
Which takes them an entire fucking day.
It's also like a lot more intimidating, right? Because let's say like that little street urchin, Because keep in mind, right? A good DM is going to role play that NPC as that NPC. So if you've got like, the rogue who's got, quick on their feet, good like talking skills, unlike me who is stumbling over their words today for some reason, that goes and talks to this little kid who's, also, they grew up on the streets together, they've got a bit of commonality and stuff like that. A lot more likely to get that information out of the kid than a group of 4 adventurers who come up, one of whom it might be like a paladin or a cleric, right? Wearing this big gleaming, shining armor going, "You child, what did you see?" The child's going, "Oh, fuck off."
It's just absolute horseshit.
Yeah.
It really is. Okay, so you want to go speak to these, you want to go speak... No, don't split the party.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, fuck off.
No, I think
split the party.
It's one of those things where if you are going to, if there's a possibility, and by possibility I mean like it's a greater than 75% chance that there's an encounter down that path, don't split the party there, because that's stupid, right?
But even in the event that the party does split and an encounter does occur, normally, if it's not like in a dungeon where encounters are set, the encounters I throw at them are normally opportunistic.
Yeah.
So it won't be a case of, oh, you've walked into this tavern and you've triggered an encounter. It'll be a case of, you walked into this tavern, you said the wrong fucking thing.
Yeah.
However, there's only 2 of you.
Yes.
Not everybody is going to pile
in on 2 people, yeah.
Or even if it's, some big bad evil person with a nefarious plan who wants to fuck with the party, they're not going to bother spending all their resources
on that one dude.
on this one dude. They're going to do something, and they're going to try, injure, kill, and this, that, and the other, but they're going to severely overestimate their possibilities.
Yeah.
So the whole don't split the party thing as a rule is absolute bullshit. Use common sense.
Yeah.
Even in games like Delta Green, right? And I had to make this very clear to the players, because they started out with we shouldn't split the party. My argument was, it doesn't fucking matter.
I disagree. We split the party and I got shot.
That was another game. But in the game that I was running, it's like, split the party, don't split the party, doesn't fucking matter. Because if something comes for you...
Oh, yeah, you're fucked anyway.
It's going to kill you regardless.
Yeah, you're fucked anyway. I think as well, I think it's as you say, right? If it's an opportunistic encounter, then you are going to scale it to who's present, because that makes sense. But like when I was saying about like sending the rogue on his own to investigate like the gang's hideout, that I was thinking along the lines of, that's the next story beat, is them going through this gang. That they know that the gang that they're trying to investigate, this is where they like base their operations out of. Sending one player to investigate that, I've seen enough films to know that never ends well, and they're going to end up kidnapped, right?
But then you create an encounter of a different type.
Yeah.
Then you create an encounter. Rogue goes into the hideout. He fails a stealth check, makes some noise. He is spotted. Don't make it an encounter. Make it a fucking chase.
Yeah.
They begin to chase you. What do you do? If the player's dumb enough to kind of go, I stand my ground, it's like, well, yeah, okay, you deserve to die.
You got knocked the fuck out.
But any player using common sense would kind of go, shit, I need to go. And then you make it a chase, you make it cinematic, you make it eventful. And, unless the player has your level of luck, you
run. Okay, roll. Nat 1, you trip, you're dead. You fall off the roof. You trip
and fall on a knife.
Yeah. You fall off the roof and land on all of their swords at once, somehow.
So first of all, let's stop with the whole don't split the party thing.
Yeah.
Second of all, it depends on the situation. If the players are walking into an encounter, that encounter should not change.
Yeah.
If the encounter is walking into the players, that's when there's a bit of wiggle room.
Yeah.
That's my answer anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I guess the overall advice is just use common sense.
Yes.
As like both sides of the screen, just use common sense, guys. And if you don't have any, then good luck.
Come and start a podcast talking about tabletop role-playing
that's what we
games.
did. So I have a question.
Yay!
We have the return of sci-fi.
The return of sci-fi. The return.
Yeah, he's just back from the Mind Flayers grub camp. It was a lovely place, I think.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. When homebrewing, do you spend time working on possible backstory links for characters linking to the main story of the campaign, and over what time period? Links only in the first few sessions, some links to a story arc in the middle game, and or links to the end goals of the campaign, etc., etc.
Okay. For me, it depends.
Mm-hmm.
If the story touches upon something that could be related to the player's character, then I will double down.
Yeah.
Case in point, in the homebrew campaign, they've travelled all over Galarian, right? Each of the characters is from a different region. Now, in terms of backstory, for the most part, everyone's been relatively vague.
Mm-hmm.
They've given me what I asked for, which is very broad brushstrokes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shoehorn that in.
Of course.
Now, they had a choice at one point to get teleported literally to anywhere in Galarian.
Mm-hmm.
And the options I had were close to 3 of the characters' sort of hometowns.
Okay.
So they decided to go for the place that's near the clerics.
Right.
So I then wrote stuff for that cleric, for that, for his backstory. We brought in people, NPCs from his backstory. We wrote a little thing where there was a rivalry and
just
all
kind of
this
fleshed stuff out a little bit.
The others did fuck all with.
Yeah.
Because it's not something I'm going to use.
Yeah.
So unless the players then kind of find something that connects the ongoing story to their backstory, I don't really do much with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm inclined to agree on that. I won't tie it into the main story. I might, if they've got something in their backstory that's like a source of conflict for them, or something like a goal of theirs, or anything like that, right? That's in their backstory. I will at points tie that in as like side questy stuff, unless it is like directly linked to what I've got planned out, right? Same sort of thing as you. Like if it happens to coincide that what they've written down is something that I've got written down as well, happy fucking days. If it's not, then I'll mainly put it in as like a side questy thing where, like you've got, if they happen to be in a town where, I don't know, there was a bandit that murdered his whole family, and this bandit happens to be now camped outside of the town that they've just arrived in. It'll be like a little side quest for them to do. But it's never going to be main story arc or anything like that. Unless it just happens that way. But yeah.
Now, I'll always kind of have the knowledge of the character's backstory. I've got it written down.
Yeah.
And every now and again, I'll kind of go through it. I'll read everything and just make sure that there is no sort of relation.
Yeah.
For one of the characters, I have tied something in, but there was a mechanical reason for it.
Yeah.
Which will all kind of be revealed when the campaign is over.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But yeah, I have actually tied that in quite heavily. And it hasn't been a case of, we've happened upon this. It's been a case of, the backstories found them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that was out of necessity, but other than that, I don't bother.
Yeah. I do like to do it on occasion just because it feels like the characters are then that like they're getting a bit of a story arc as well, rather than just like the main story arc. Like their characters developing as well a little bit. You know, it gives them a chance to maybe deal with, I don't know, if they're like an Oath of Vengeance paladin, for example, right? Maybe give them, I will give them chances to achieve like vengeance or not, and maybe then become an Oathbreaker because they've not taken vengeance when they could. But I'll give them things to create conflict with their backstory, but it'll never be like as part of the main quest line.
I mean, the other thing is if a player turns around and kind of says, can we invest? Can we look into this? And, you know, they've got an element that they want to explore, that they want to resolve, in which case, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I will find something. I will find a hook, or I will find something that ties in. But for the most part, unless it happens organically, then it's not something I push to accomplish because it does feel shoehorned in at times.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good question. I miss sci-fi.
Was a good question.
All right, so I've got one more question.
Fire away.
Got a question from... You ready for this? Yep. A new question.
Wait.
Someone new.
A new person?
A new person?
A new individual? Interesting.
This is a local store for local people.
It is definitely not. Anybody is allowed to send us a question at any time. Just to clarify, that was a joke. We didn't mean it. Send us questions.
Yeah, please do. We can't rely on our wit for an hour and a half straight.
We struggle.
We do need input. We do. Okay, so this question comes from the Wrist Bandit, who is on most people's wrist. And the question is, do you think a smartwatch could be used to help play tabletop role-playing games? And what functionality would you use to help the game develop?
Ooh.
On another note, do you think technology will ever replace the feel of being around a table face-to-face playing games?
Okay, so to answer the second part of that question, no. Not for me personally. There's just something about being around a table with like, yeah, just no. The first part of the question though, that's interesting.
I think the thing about the smartwatch is, you know, obviously someone who has a smartwatch and is very, very proud of it because he is now one of the cool kids.
Well, I have a smartwatch.
So do I.
And I've never really thought about using it for role playing in any way.
By the way, before you continue, can I just point out that this question asker is a known person? This is an in-joke. So I'm not being elitist right now.
But it's still a good question, even if it is an in-joke.
It is a great question. I've already got an idea, but I'm going to let you...
No, I need to think. So you go with yours.
Right. I'm going to answer the second part of the question first. Like you did.
Yeah.
Right, so no, 100%. The feel of being around a tabletop is unique. It is something that's never replicated, and it never will be replicated, and they're going to try. However, what I feel is, with every attempt, they are bringing tabletop role-playing games more toward the realms of video games.
Yeah.
So that's why you've got, you know, virtual tabletops are not only virtual tabletops anymore. Foundry does half the math for you.
Yeah.
Foundry calculates the distance between two targets and whether a penalty should apply to your attack roll. Which is great. It's convenient. It's fantastic. But it's also a source of contention because the moment it stops working, people freeze.
Yeah.
It's like, just take away 2, add 2. You know, in your case, it'd be roll with advantage or disadvantage, whatever. You know,
in my case, it would be you know what the answer is. I'm not going to bother rolling. I'm going to roll a 1.
Yes, we get it. You're depressed because you roll like shit.
Yes.
However, it does feel like that as good as these things are, and the more game aids that are given, it does take away a lot of the agency. It does take away a lot of the charm that comes with playing at a table.
Yeah.
And remembering your conditions. I mean, if it weren't for Foundry being able to add conditions, I don't think a lot of the players would even remember them.
Yeah. I mean, and again, that's something, well, around the table, we have, at least around my table anyway, I have like discs that have the conditions on them. So when a player is like incapacitated, for example, you just put the incapacitated disc on their model, which works obviously in the same sort of way. So you have a visual representation of that character is currently knocked the fuck out. You know, and stuff like that, which I think as well, it also helps for the what's the word I'm looking for? I guess, yeah, the visual as a player when you're looking at the battlefield in front of you and going, oh shit, that guy is currently frightened and running away. I don't need to worry about him, because you could see the status effect on him, because obviously in a real setting, right, if it was this, you were actually in this battle, you would be able to see that particular goblin is currently shitting himself and running in the opposite direction. Whereas on a tabletop map with just like a mini or a model, or even on like Foundry, for example, if you can't see the, you know, currently shitting a brick status on that particular enemy.
Yeah, but you can though.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying if you couldn't, right? It would be hard to tell just by looking at the model, because you'd have to make sure that you then have your model alignment always correct, like, and not alignment as in neutral or good or whatever. I mean, alignment as in which direction they're facing, just to clarify.
Or the GM could just remember shit.
But it's not just about the GM remembering, though, because it's also about the players looking at it and going, well, because again, in real life, you would be able to look, like if you're engaged. I mean, we used to work in nightclubs, right? We've seen enough fights kicking off. You can always tell who the guy that was shitting a brick was, because he was the one walking away whilst trying to still give it large, right?
But the thing is, we're not trying to replicate real life. It's a game.
Yeah.
We don't need to see. We don't necessarily need to see these things. This game has been played with paper and pen.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, even as good as game aids and support is, it's not 100% necessary to play around a table. It's not even necessary to play online with. All you need is dice and a character sheet.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's all you need.
And to yeah, it's great to have these things, but if you don't have them, you can still play. You can still remember, okay, that guy's frightened. I'll make a quick note of it. You know, it's not a necessity. And what these virtual tabletops are doing is they're doubling down on the convenience, which is their selling point.
Yeah.
It's convenient to pre-build encounters. It's convenient for me to not have to leave the house.
Yeah, yeah.
It's convenient for me to play online. Still not going to be comparable to playing in person.
No, never.
But what they're trying to do is they're trying to approximate it more to video games.
Yes.
So you just click a button. And Foundry does all the math for you, which is great. But when it stops working, people freeze. So, you know, I think one thing that I would like to do is play an online game, but use something like Owlbear Rodeo, which is no frills. It is a map on a table. Everything else, you roll in real dice, you're using character sheets, and just have that as the table instead of Foundry with all its bells and whistles and all this, which is great. Again, love the convenience.
Yeah.
But it does take something away. It takes away the element of the game where you actually have to calculate and you actually have to do the math.
Yeah. No, I get that.
And so, first question.
Yeah, smartwatch.
Have you thought of something?
I genuinely can't think of anything.
All right, I'll go then.
Mm.
Check this out. Rolling dice. Rolling digital dice. You have an app where you select the dice and the number, and then using the accelerometer of the watch, the hand motion would trigger the dice roll.
Yeah.
If anybody knows how to code Apple Watch,
I do know how to code. I probably could do that.
I think you should do it.
I'm probably not going.
I've got
being honest.
Oh.
Because, well, one, because I hate Apple, as you know. But two,
no, do it for Google.
I might. I'll if I've got a spare 5 minutes, I'll give it a crack. And that's not me trying to sound big-headed. That's me just saying if I've got a spare minute, not actually a minute. I'm using a phrase, people. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I don't know, but if I'm having to make the action, I'd rather just roll dice.
No, that's fair, but I'm answering the question that was asked.
I guess for like if you're playing online, that would be a pretty cool way if you could get that interaction between like your smartwatch and Foundry, for example. So
that was kind of what I was aiming for.
If you got that interaction, I guess for me, because I play in person, not online, if I'm playing in person and I'm making the action of rolling dice, I'm just going to roll dice, right?
Of course.
Yeah, so getting that interaction with Foundry might be difficult.
It's not.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it, but
it's not because Foundry's API is quite liberal.
Fair enough.
That's why there's so many modules. So basically, it'd be a module.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only thing I can really. Maybe it might be cool to have like a. And this is something that would work really well for playing in person, especially if everybody at the table had this, right? Is a health indicator. So not actually having like your hit point number, but something that changed the like its color on a gradient from like green to red based on your hit points could be pretty cool. Because again, you know, if you're in a battlefield situation, and you can see that one of your, you know, party members is not looking good because at a quick glance at across the table, you can see that his watch is currently orange, right, instead of green. It would prompt you without even having to say what's everyone's hit points, because you know what I mean. Like that kind of breaks immersion a little bit. Just halfway through a big like battle, going, everyone good for hit points, or if you had some kind of indicator for that could be pretty cool, I guess. It would be very easy to code.
Yeah, no, I do agree, but that would have to be tied to do it properly. That would have to be tied to a digital character sheet. So to save you having to
not necessarily
to input it twice,
because it would be on your phone, right? So you just wouldn't have to track your HP on your paper sheet if you had just like so you get like a life point counter for things like Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh, like card games, stuff like that, right? That use life points. So you would have a similar sort of thing where you could just put in what your hit points are. And then when you take damage, you just subtract it from that. Or likewise, you could use it for like D&D Beyond if you could get it to integrate with the hit points on there and then have it all in one place. If you could get that API, I don't know how open D&D Beyond is, but then it would be like it would become locked to that framework. But having it as a standalone app where you just put in your hit points and you deduct it would be a very, very easy thing to code. And then you wouldn't necessarily have to track your hit points on your character sheet, for example. You would just do it through this app.
Well, one thing I know, it is great having a smartwatch.
It is. I love my smartwatch.
So thank you to that question asker. Also, thank you to Couch and Sci-Fi for some fantastic questions. Thanks to you once again for spending some time with me this evening. Do you want to talk to the people and tell them where they can find you?
Sure. You can find me on most socials at Justin Accurate TV. And I do also stream over on Twitch. So you can find me over there, Justin Accurate TV on Twitch as well. Yeah.
As for me, you can find me on Mastodon at Natural Juan. I'm also now on Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram as Too Legit to Crit. So if you ever want to hit us up, we also have our Facebook page.
Yes.
Which you're more than welcome to join and come and chat to us and, you know, tell us how much you hate us. It's fine. We're used to it.
I'm very used to it.
And other than that, if you like what you hear, do not hesitate to kind of give us a good rating on your podcatcher of choice and talk to your friends about us. And, you know, hopefully we can grow this amazing community that's shown us so much kindness and warmth in the past few months that we've been doing this. So most importantly, thank you to everyone who's taken time out of their busy days to listen to two idiots waffle on about role-playing games. Thank you very much. Good night.
Bye, everybody.